All right, dudes, welcome on in. It's Wednesday, getting closer and closer to trick or treat. If that's your ski low, if that's how you get down. You got kids, obviously, you're going to be doing that this weekend. Alex Golesh joins the show. Really, really good interview with him. I think it's interesting because that's something that you can look for in the future because he might be your coach. Like, he's a guy that's a hot name that I think is mentioned for a lot of jobs. So in order of that, how about Peyton Thorne? Not that Peyton Thorne, another Peyton Thorne.
We don't think. You don't know that for sure.
I guess it could be Peyton Thorne, the old Auburn QB, asking about Oklahoma State's coaching gig. But he says,
I doubt that.
Who do you think will take the OSU coaching job next? Love you guys channel. Big fan. Thank you for being a big fan. Have to get your head checked to see why you're a big fan. But Oklahoma State, interesting job. The job has absolutely changed. I actually spent some time with Mike Gundy recently, which was kind of cool because he's just a cool cat. I went to his farm on his property, and it was unbelievable because dude had peacocks everywhere, like peacocks all over the place. When I got there, Brent, it was actually this week. When I got there, he said, or I was going to meet with him, and he was like, "Hey, give me a minute." I was at the gate. He goes, "Give me a minute because I got a peacock that got loose, and I got to go trap it." And I was like, this is where we're at in life. This is amazing. But Gundy is obviously he built something special as a former player. Now who you're going to get. I don't think Oklahoma State is the job that everybody's going to that's going to get paid a lot of money, right, with resources that they have. So you got to go that route of somebody that wants to go prove themselves. And so to me, that means Zach Robinson, who is on the list, a guy that he worked for PFF with you guys, right? Didn't he work?
And right now he is calling plays for the Atlanta Falcons. And my guess is that there are a lot of people who are Falcons fans who would be glad and would just help him pack to go to Oklahoma State.
And he was a good quarterback at Oklahoma State. Like he had a good run.
Worked for McVay.
Yes, he did a really good job there. So the name, another quarterback alum like Gundy, makes some sense to have some ties. Colin Klein to me is another name that you should think about because he played the quarterback position, very innovative at A&M, could probably develop some offense there. You want somebody that can do some offense, but I'll give you one defensive name too, Jim Knowles, who spent time there as a DC for a long time. Penn State just went to a heck in a handbasket. Do you now go and maybe take a head coaching opportunity? He's older, but has experience there. Maybe that's the last challenge for him or the last thing in his career. But along this vein, let's go in the fired coaches vein because there's just so much going on. I think there's just fun conversation with coaches right now and who's a good fit, who's not a good fit, where are they going to go next? Big names. Like obviously when Penn State made the hiring, Penn State, they thought they were going to be at the top of the line, I think. Like they were like, bro, we're getting rid of our guy. We're doing it early. Now, like, we're going to go get the pick of the guy we want. Oof. Sorry, bud, because Florida happens. And then obviously LSU happens. And now so it changes the landscape. But like Brian Kelly is a guy that now gets fired that's out there. Billy Napier, a guy that gets fired that's out there. So you've got James Franklin, you've got Brian Kelly, you've got Billy Napier, who are proven commodities to an extent, right? Like Brian Kelly's proven the heck out of himself. Brian Kelly's a great football coach. Like you can't convince me of that otherwise. Like you could debate me if you want to. You're going to lose. Brian Kelly's a good football coach. Now, his personality, is that a great fit for everybody? L to the no. It's absolutely not. But like Brian Kelly, to me, I would hire Brian Kelly at an Arkansas. I would hire Brian Kelly at and maybe not Arkansas. Actually, let's take the SEC out of it. I would hire Brian Kelly. I might be more inclined to hire Brian Kelly at Penn State because to me, that might be a better fit. But Brian Kelly is a great football coach who's proven it for a long time. It got sideways, but let's not forget this. Let's not forget Jaden Daniels and company on the offensive side of the football, winning a Heisman, being elite of elite. Now the defense was elite. Like it just didn't time up. Like he didn't have the chips fall where they needed to fall. And some of that's his fault with who he hired and what he did. But I don't think that you can sit here and be like, oh, and I hear people trashing Brian Kelly. That's what people do, right? Like it's easy. Take shots. That's what people do. Brian Kelly's a good football coach. Brian Kelly, if he wants to coach, will absolutely go find a job. A good job.
Have you seen there's been a lot of former players.
Yeah.
Who have
don't care.
Done some piling. I'll say. But I don't know. I that might be one where the job that he would take and what he would kind of command from a salary perspective, I don't know if it's worth the place that you're going, because I think you're going to see a lot of these teams that don't swim in lucrative waters.
Don't swim in the deep end?
But potentially pay their coach, give their coach more incentive-laden type contracts, where it's a smaller salary, large incentives if you win, and then we'll take the rest of it, we'll take it in the money and go put it on the team.
But Brian Kelly got the cheddar. He's got the cheese. He's getting $50 million to walk away. And so Ed Orgeron, which door do you want me to walk out of, right? He's got the money to go away. So I think Brian Kelly, at his age, let's be smart enough to read the room now. And let's go, where can I go win? Because he left Notre Dame to go win. He wanted to win a national championship. He didn't think he could do it. Marcus Freeman might be saying, hold my beer, because Marcus Freeman's done just as much, right? And as Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly played for a Natty too, when it was a 2-team deal. But I just think the compensation piece that can be offset possibly when you're making $800,000+ a month, a month, Brent, that's coming in a month.
I have no fathom of anything.
No, but when you're making that, go find the right gig, bro. Go find the right gig for you. He knows how to coach offensive football. He knows how to win. I just don't think he won at Cincinnati. He built that. It was really, really good. He won at Notre Dame. He won at Grand Valley State, I think is where he was to start with. He's won everywhere he's been.
So in terms of fit for all these guys, for all these jobs, these three big jobs, I don't. One of the things I saw was Jacob Hester that used to play at LSU.
Yeah.
And does TV stuff. And he tweeted out, the next coach needs to see every opportunity I had in life because of LSU. The next coach needs to share that same passion. Our DNA was always mean, nasty, and tough. When you played the Tigers, you felt it. It was non-negotiable.
I love that.
I think he's right about that being the attitude and the fit at LSU. And whatever coach brings that, I think is likely the coach that fits there.
How many coaches bring that nowadays? Here's the thing.
He does.
It's not prevalent just about anywhere in the country. This is not something that the generations of these kids have changed. But here's what I know. If you want to talk about who was a good fit and who won me some games, Ed Orgeron won, right? Joe Brady's the reason they won. Joe Brady was dialing up ball plays. Now listen, I would argue I could have dialed up ball plays with Jamar Chase, Justin. Joe Burrow. It was nice. It was a really nice era of probably the most talented offense in the history of college football. On one squad, it was absolutely disgusting. So does Summerall fit that bill? Because he's familiar with the town. But I just think there's I understand what he's saying. I love what he's saying, and I agree. But I'm just saying there's just not those kind of guys have, because of the way that you have to talk to kids now and the way you demand, if you demand of kids too much and you make them practice too much nowadays, they're going to go in the portal. I need to save my body. There's guys that are telling coaches hey, I need to save my body. That's too many hits.
It's going to be fascinating. 3 quick names. See if any of these guys that get one of these power forward jobs, do you think, or 2 actually, I'll go 2. Willie Fritz at Houston and PJ Fleck at Minnesota, whose names aren't really being talked about in this realm. Do you think either of those guys get maybe one of these bigger jobs? Because I was just thinking, because you mentioned it the other day, just get somebody to go coach ball, and that's a true ball coach that goes win. And we were talking about with Fritz when we were talking about Houston, those guys just go win.
Willie's
wherever they are.
Willie's done it so much. Now again,
he's got a 5-star QB commit too.
Yeah, he's also older. I think you're going to look at Willie. Willie's an older gentleman. Do you want to go older now when you just went a little bit older with Brian Kelly and it was a bad fit and it didn't work? Yep. So that I don't know. Who else did you say? What was the other one?
PJ Fleck.
PJ Fleck is one of the best in the country at who he is. PJ knows exactly who he is. He knows how to talk to kids. He knows how to develop. Like PJ Fleck has done an unbelievable job at Minnesota. Like, but his DNA is definitely developing. Like, so I think if I'm PJ Fleck, I want to be in a job that fits my strengths. Like row the boat, like kids that are going to be here multiple years, not the transactional stuff. I don't think that's PJ Fleck. Now he's a great coach. I want him at my school, but I don't think LSU is going to go that direction.
All right, let's move on to the big thing of the week. Friday night, you mentioned it. Trick or treat, Halloween. It's a big deal. What's Halloween mean to you in 3 words or less?
Not a dang thing. No, nothing. How about that? One word. Nothing.
One word. When you were, like
fat,
young Davey.
You can say it. Fat.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
When you actually ate those type of products, what was your fave?
I mean, when I was chubby back in the day, I liked everything. But can I give some parents some good feedbacks of how they get their kids not to eat so much food?
Okay, have at it.
So here's what we did with our kids. Call me psycho, call me crazy, call me whatever you want. Our kids went and they racked up. Now we ran from door to door. Like we literally ran from house to house. We made it as fast as a competition as we could. And we had the kids, like the bunch of the football kids came over all the time and we went as fast as we could. We made it a race. We made it fun. And then you got this whole suitcase or pillowcase, full of candy. And me and Lindsay, my wife, we always bought several toys when they were younger. And we said, hey, do you want the candy or do you want some of these toys? And we bought toys that we knew they liked. It was like, you can keep one or the other, like whichever one you'd prefer. Every time they took the toy. So it's how we kind of, candy to me has no relevance. It's not good for you. There's nothing good about it. I think I try to stay away from it as much as possible. Like,
hey, I always use the dad tax. There was always the dad tax.
Dad tax
if there's a full
having you
in there. If there's a full Butterfinger, if there's yes, that was very much mine. Goat. What was your goat Halloween costume?
I was an insane Dracula back in the day. I have pictures of that when I was a kid. I was pretty with it.
What about as an adult?
I don't dress up.
Haven't done that in a while?
No.
I've had some good ones recently.
What'd you have?
I mean, I've done Mr. Clean where I had like the white.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes.
Yes, that was fantastic.
White shirt, white pants. I did Joe Dirt one year. Flannel with the cutoff sleeves. Found a wig. Richard Simmons one year. I did that one year. So.
Oh, I could see you as a Richard Simmons.
No, right.
Did you dress up for your teaching classes?
Yes. I've done that before.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think Joe Dirt was actually at work one day. So, all right, Michigan. Something's brewing. We do this every week. We got to talk about it. Talking about the Wolverines, diving in. We've dived into one team each week. Last week, I think, was Georgia Tech. We've looked at USC. We looked at BYU early in the season. BYU.
Yeah.
Like,
a team that like has something brewing, has something going. And if you're looking at Michigan's schedule, there's a really good chance this train is not stopping anytime soon. Now, this might be like the first something's brewing that we do, Brent, where like, I'm not going to lie. After going back again last night and watching all of Michigan's game against Michigan State, I love Bryce Underwood. His potential for the future, it's just not now. It's not present right now. Like this offense is very much, it's shotgun exclusive, which I don't like shotgun exclusive. I like being shotgun, but like, can we find some ways to mix in some other concepts? I think it's a very smart thing as a play caller, as an offense. It's very one read centric. Bryce Underwood is the best, has always been probably the best. No, not probably. He's always been the best athlete on the field, and he's not anymore. So like he tries to scramble instead of hanging in the pocket and making plays. Now listen, the dude's built almost like Cam Newton. So it's a freaky level of athlete. But this offense, I thought from where it started, week 1, I was like, okay, Bryce Underwood's the truth. Bryce Underwood's going to be the next guy. And right now, I'm not seeing that. And I'm not meaning that as an insult. I'm not saying the kid's not going to be good. The best part about Michigan's offense is very clear to me. It's Justice Haynes, and it's not even close. He is Brent, I haven't seen a better running back in the country. Like, I'm not saying there's not great running backs. I haven't seen a better one. And I say that because I love his vision. His vision is nasty. He's got great vision, great feel for the position, great feel for people around his body, great power, great speed. Like, he can hit the home run. He can lower his shoulder. He's been playing banged up. Like, it's amazing to watch. Like, Alabama could use that sucker. He absolutely could use that. They could use that sucker. He had 9 touchdowns at Alabama in 2 seasons. He's got 10 with Michigan. Like, he's over 122 a game. Like, he's over 106 out of 7 games. This dude's special, man. Like, he is so good. Alabama would benefit greatly from having a guy like that. And to me, that's the best part of Michigan's offense, that they've got to continue to find ways to creatively get him the football, because otherwise, like, I think this is an offense that's not ready yet to go by air consistently to beat you.
They have to use the RPO. They're one of the highest RPO usage teams. I think it's something that Underwood's comfortable with. It's funny you mentioned under center stuff. I wrote that note. Would like to see more under center from them.
This is how many snaps against Michigan State? 0.
Yeah. Justice Haynes, 6.4 yards per carry in the first half, lower 70s rush grade, PFF rush grade. Second half, 7.6 yards per carry, mid 80s rush grade. Like, just gets better as the game moves on. But the biggest difference, though, watching Michigan over time, and especially watching Michigan recently, is Marsh at receiver.
Starting to come on.
He changes the dynamic, at least for their offense, gives them way more productivity there. Right now, 21 of 24 targets he's caught. Every other receiver, like the top 5 target guys, so he's 88% reception. Everybody else is 55%. Like, he just adds a level of efficiency playmaking. The one-handed catch he had against Washington, unreal. I think Michigan needs to run more counter. They don't run it enough. It's been the most productive in yards before carry. Their offensive line, to me, is
not good.
Really watch it.
It's not Michigan.
Solid.
It's not
solid.
Michigan.
It's not great individually.
No.
It's no minuses. Derek Moore still doing great things on the defensive line, but in 44, I like watching 44 on the field
and 42. They you talk about
school fullbacks, school fullbacks that play.
That's all both of them are.
Yeah,
that's all, and they get in that 12 personnel a lot, man. And I think, again, they don't have receivers that separate consistently. They don't have a rhythm passing game that they can consistently go 1 to 2 to 3. So, like, they're going to have to mash this up. And here's the trump card. Can Bryce Underwood, like, he can tote the mail because of his physicality and size.
Yep.
Okay, when I need him to go in that booth and put that cape on, Ohio State, late in the season, I can run him 20 times and feel good about it. Now I get man-to-man coverage and I take shots, and he's good at seeing that and taking shots. I like that. He understands the matchups, but the ball, that the short checkdowns and small routes, man, like, you better have some stick 'em on them gloves, bro, because that thing's coming in hot. Like, he throws it with some revolutions, bro. So I think that
very much so.
This team can be dangerous, and they're going to be in a Ohio State 1-win game playoff scenario, and I think in that scenario, Bryce Underwood has to run the football like a madman, because the pass game, it's not there yet. But you're right about the defense, the other side of the football. I like Derek. They always find a guy like Derek Moore every year. There's always a guy at Michigan that's got close to 10 sacks. Like, he's just going to do that and be productive, because they're going to be aggressive, apply pressure. They're going to tackle well. The defensive line group is always really physical, really good. They're always well coached, and they always got hyperactive guys that can penetrate and make bad things happen for your offense.
Purdue this week, then at Northwestern, at Maryland. They take care of business. They're 9-2 and staring at Ohio State, looking to prevent them from going to the Big Ten championship game again, because that would actually, I think, potentially put Michigan in, because they would have the tiebreaker, that depending on Oregon, some other teams. But yeah, it's all there on the plate, and Michigan fans are probably like, yeah, let's go, bring it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we do. We beat them.
And the running game in that matchup late in the season, the weather sucks. Like that, we're going to start talking about that more. Like the weather becomes an issue. I want to say since 2005, Brent, the team who's rushed for the most yards in that game is won. And Michigan and their run game, like, can they do it again? And if they do, it's Justice Haynes, who's their best guy. And Marshall's good too. 23 is good. 22 and 23 are both good. And then Underwood toting that pill. So it's going to be fun because that week, no matter what Michigan's record was, they'll have Ohio State's attention because Ohio State is sick and tired of those suckers. Sick and tired of those guys.
Very much so.
All right. Wesley, you got more?
No, that was it.
All right, that's it. Something's brewing with Michigan. You're going to look up here soon. They're going to be in a position where they can win a game and go to the college football playoff. That's all you ask as a Michigan fan. But, all right, Wesley, Podium Kings, man. It's all yours. Take it away.
You know, DP, Ohio State fans are currently number one on my power rankings for fan bases you are pissing off the most. So congrats on keeping that streak alive for another week. All right, Podium Kings, we're starting off with Mark Stoops answering a question about going for two late in the game and the Wildcats lost to Tennessee. We talk about analytics a lot here on C-Ball, Get Ball. Sometimes they're helpful, and other times they kind of suck. And I think you're going to figure out how Mark Stoops feels about that particular analytics call right here.
But that's what the analytics book said. And I when I had time to reevaluate it afterwards, I said, well, that's a stupid book.
Our perennial Podium King, Lane Kiffin, answering a question from my guy, Brad Logan, who covers Ole Miss, about Brent Venables saying that Oklahoma is really the better team, even though the Sooners lost to Ole Miss. Vintage Lane right here.
Maybe they had the better team last year, too, when we beat them. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Following up, on the road against Georgia.
Maybe we had the better team in Oklahoma when we beat them 55-19 in the national championship. Maybe. Maybe you had the better team at Clemson when we beat them 45-40 in the national championship at Alabama.
DP, I know you're saying that Lane probably doesn't take the Florida job. Maybe he gets enticed by LSU or stays at Ole Miss, but I got to say that was pretty Spurrier-esque. All right, our first ever governor on Podium Kings, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, at a state event during the government shutdown, had to answer some sports questions as well, and he says he might get involved with that LSU head coaching search.
I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach.
Governor Landry went on to say on X that he is not, in fact, going to get involved with hiring LSU's next head football coach. But look, that frustration is real. Scott Woodward's hired Jimbo Fisher, historic buyout, hired Brian Kelly, another historic buyout. So I think anybody who has an interest in LSU football, you can't blame them if they got the power for wanting to get involved. All right, maybe Jeff Landry comes on C-Ball, Get Ball another time, but today we got Alex Golesh, the head coach of the USF Bulls, with David Pollack. Here you go.
All right, next we're going to welcome in the coach of the USF Bulls. Obviously had a phenomenal season, a phenomenal story that I want to hear about with Alex Golesh. Alex, I want to know about your background, man. Like growing up, we haven't interviewed very many coaches that say, hey, I'm from Moscow. Like that just doesn't happen very often. Tell me a little bit about your story, your background, how the heck you got where you're at right now, man.
Yeah. And I feel like I've been telling the story quite a bit. It's certainly different. It's certainly interesting. I'm proud of it. And it's been a cool journey, man. We moved here. My parents literally dropped everything. We were living in Moscow. Everything was fine, but my parents were adamant about trying to give my brother and I a better situation, and moved here in 91. Literally $400, no place to live, no car, no
rich
anything.
Baby. Let's go.
And my aunt sponsored us. My mom's sister was living in New York, sponsored us, and literally my dad got a job driving a box truck. My mom started cleaning houses, and that's where we started. I learned what American football was playing on the playground, man, playing in the schoolyard. And I went to summer camp in New York. Everybody sends their kids to summer camp so they stay out of trouble, and met the defensive coordinator at U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, and kind of attached myself to his hip, and he asked me to be a ball boy for him. So we spent a couple of years driving up to Kings Point, New York on Saturdays. I thought those dudes were the baddest dudes in America, man, and fell in love with it. And it wasn't really till we moved to Ohio. We moved to Columbus about 6 years later, and got to start playing organized football, and certainly fell in love with it there. And I think by the time I got done with high school, I was like, man, I want to coach, I want to teach. And ultimately that's how it started.
What position did you play?
So I played linebacker, and we ran the triple on offense. So I ended up playing quick tackle, and I was a badass tackle now. But all you had to do was down baby. There was no pass pro element.
Not in a triple.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so I want to talk about this. So then you go from there, and I actually called Coach Gundy today because I wanted to know about you a little bit. And Coach Gundy had some glowing terms from you. And obviously, you started your career next at Oklahoma State. He said, and tell me if this is accurate. He said you were smart. You thought things through. He said whatever he gave to you, you always handled, like just bright. And he said you loved the grind, like you were not scared to work. Is that a fair assessment of when you got to Gundy? And then what did you learn from Coach Gundy?
Yeah, well, so I went from Ohio State. I GA'd at Northern Illinois, and then Coach Gundy hired me at Oklahoma State. And I was on the defensive side of the ball. And Coach was this was the year after the I'm 40, I'm a man. So when I went and I left Northern Illinois to go to Oklahoma State, I was coaching the nickels. I was working on defense, which I had always worked on defense up until I left Oklahoma State and went to Toledo. And Mike was, when I tell you, the most incredible human being in terms of how he treated young coaches. I think if I learned anything from Mike, and I learned a bunch, and I was only there for a year, but never called the GAs analysts. And I was an analyst there, never called them GAs, never called them analysts. They were all young coaches. And to this day, every single one of these guys that work here, and we've got now in modern day college football, there's a bunch. I mean, everybody's got an assistant. There's assistants that got assistants. They're all young coaches. And I think it was the first time for me where I was like, man, like that's different. Like I am a young coach, man. Like I want to go sit around the big table at some point, but treated us like gold, man. And for whatever reason, Mike, every time he had a defensive question for an offense, he'd come down, be like, Alex. And there, the defensive staff was on the bottom level, offensive staff was upstairs, and I'd march myself up there, and it'd be like, man, Red 2, best concept. And literally it was like an interview every single day walking up there. And they had a great offensive staff, but for whatever reason, I kept coming up there, and we were really innovative on offense at that point there. We were rocking. And so I was like, man, I get to sit in here for a little bit and talk ball with these guys. It was Mike, and Joe Wickline was the O-line coach, and they had a good crew, man. It was Curtis Looper, Trooper Taylor, Doug Meacham. There was a bunch of guys that I respect the heck out of, and for what I was like the one defensive guy Mike took a liking to, and to the point where we've stayed in touch. But like I said, to me, the one thing I learned is, man, like everybody in that room can add something. Yep. And when I tell you in my career, especially when I became a coordinator and then certainly as a head coach, some of our best ideas offensively come from the guys sitting around the outside, because they're the ones we're on the road recruiting. We're on the road. We're obviously doing things like this. They're sitting over there watching the Kansas City Chiefs Thursday night game right now, and like man, I need a good idea. Like, coach, I got one.
Yeah, go get Mahomes.
There's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. Like, man, I need something crazy here. Hey, coach, I got a cut up of crazy if you're looking for crazy. But like I said, I learned that 20 whatever years ago, or I guess almost 20 years ago. And when I tell you it's paid dividends, it's paid dividends. But he always treated everybody the right way, especially the young coaches.
So how the heck do you go from coach being a defensive guy? How do you transition to the offensive side of the football, and why?
This is a crazy story. I don't know. I don't even know if anybody's ever publicly asked me this. Our defensive coordinator, Oklahoma State, gets the Toledo job. Obviously, you're an analyst. It's like, man, full-time job, you go. And he had originally hired me to coach the secondary. And he was a secondary guy. And you're like, if there's one thing you don't want to coach, it's the head coach.
The head coach's position group?
Heck no. You could, in your time, you could go through the DB coaches at your alma mater, I'm sure. That's the last thing you want to do. Well, and Matt Campbell and I were really good friends, and I'd known Matt for a long time. Matt was our offensive coordinator. He had gotten hired. And Coach Beckman, our head guy, knew a million DB guys. He was a DB guy, knew a million DB guys. And Matt was like, man, you should come over here, coach running backs. We need a running back guy. He knew no running back coaches. I'm like, man, I don't know anything about coaching running backs. Like, I don't know anything about offense. And he's like, I'll teach you. I'll get you. So we went in, and I wanted to work with Matt. Not that I didn't want to coach DBs. I certainly did, but I think I would have rather have been in the other room at that point in my life. And again, I had GA'd for coach, and I was actually student coach for coach at Ohio State. Then I was an analyst for him at Oklahoma State. And I'm like, man, I think it might be way better over there. I think I also at that point figured out like longevity of life, being an offensive coach in modern day college football is better. and this is all joking aside. And if you ever get Matt on the phone, he would co-sign the story for you. So Coach Beck agreed. He was like, all right, man, that sounds great. Like, you kind of be my eyes and ears in that offensive room. We had a really young staff. He's like, you be my eyes and ears in there. And it was Jason Candle was our receiver coach. Scott Satterfield was our quarterback coach. We had a really good young staff. Tommy Manning, who was the GA for us, who's now the tight end coach of the Colts. He was our offense coordinator at Iowa State with us. We had a great, really, really cool staff. And so we sit down, like, we're about a month out from spring ball, and we're doing pre-spring stuff. And I'm like, Matt, I don't know anything about coaching running backs, bro. Like, nothing. And he's like, I got you. I'm like, tonight, we got to do it tonight. Like, I got to start meetings with these kids. I know protection's important, and I know, like, running the ball is important. Like, help me out here, right? And I'm like 23 at the time. Like, so I got my notebook, sit down. I'm like, all right, Matt, like, start. It's got to start like somewhere, like stance and start, right? Like, you got to start somewhere. He's like, you ready? I'm like, dude, like, start at square one. We'll be here all night. I'm good. I can't walk in this room and they don't think, like, I can go coach DBs. I can go coach linebackers. I can't, like, he's like, all right, you ready? I'm like, yep. He's like, all right, ready. Recruit one. I'm like, okay, recruit one. I can do that. He's like, and then don't screw him up. I'm like, there's got to be more to it. He's like, no, that's it, dude. Like, that's it. I'm like, and all joking aside, that was when I figured out, like, if you just recruit really good players and don't jack them up, you'd be all right. And obviously I learned there's a lot more to it than that, but, like, no joking. That was our meeting. It lasted 5 minutes, and I literally went back, and we had some really good backs there. And there's one that's still playing, but that was a really, really good experiment for me. And literally I went to coaching tight ends, and then Tim Beckman went to Illinois. I went with him. And then Matt went to Iowa State, and I went with him. And that's kind of, I never looked back. But to be honest with you, I think from an offensive perspective, the defensive background, I still very much see it through a defensive lens. When I start watching film, I see offensive football through a defensive lens. I see attacking, whether it's coverages or boxes, or, you know, what we've evolved to offensively, going back to my time at UCF, like, is very much through a defensive lens, where
knowing what they do and attacking them.
That's it. Where's the hole? Yeah. Find the holes. even the tempo which we play. I think that was the one thing that, going back to the Big 12 days in 2008, like teams that played with tempo, being on the other side, you couldn't figure it out, and even going back to Mike Leach and Texas Tech, like they were the first ones that not only spread you out, but also played fast. Oklahoma at that time played fast. Like that's what I always wanted to do. And so here we are.
Here we are. So you've already mentioned like a million coaches that everybody knows who they are, with Gundy and Campbell, but then you go to Tennessee and you work with Josh Heupel and you become the offensive coordinator. What about with Josh Heupel? What did you learn about your system and now putting speed to it and continuing to evolve it, and now to the coach, that you brought to USF?
Yeah. So there's a step in between. So we were at Iowa State for 4 years, and where Matt is so different is we got to Iowa State. It was, you could argue, maybe the worst job in the country at the time. And matter of fact, we had many conversations about what the hell did you do to all of us? Like why did you bring us here to Ames, Iowa? And Matt, where Matt's really good is Matt always thinks like, man, how can we be different? Like, how is it that we can be different? And we studied Baylor through the Art Briles years of how the heck did Baylor go from Baylor in 2007, 2008 to winning Big 12 titles at the time. They were different, right? Their own version of different. And so at Iowa State, as much as we wanted to play really fast and have really fast dudes, and that just was never going to be what we could recruit there. And so we were different in the sense that we played in 12, 13 personnel, and we played fast and presented a bunch of different pictures. And Josh gave me an opportunity after my fourth year at Iowa State to come to UCF. And we had studied the Baylor stuff. We had implemented portions of it. We had played fast at times. Some of the pass game stuff we incorporated, but we didn't know it. That was the one thing about that deal, is nobody was going to let you in and learn it. You studied it and watched it. And when Jeff Lebby left and went to Ole Miss, the OC job was open, and Josh gave me the opportunity to come in. And the greatest thing that happened there was, as crazy as COVID was, for me, it was the best thing that could have happened, because it gave, I know we were supposed to be quarantined or whatever, but Josh and I spent every day together for whatever that was, 5-month period. And I give Coach Hype a bunch of credit, because as good as they were on offense, he is so humble in the sense that, man, like we threw for a bunch of yards, rushed for a bunch of yards, but we were terrible in situational football, third down, red zone, like some things that, man, Alex, like, where can you help us grow and develop and change and evolve? And through that COVID time, all we did was sat there and talk ball and watch ball and talk ball and he taught me what they had evolved to. And Josh had lived so many lives offensively. He had played in the air raid, and then ran modern day, like, zone read option game at Oklahoma and coached it, and then evolved when he went to Missouri, and then I got there and we continued to evolve, and he was so open to continue to evolve. And then 10 months later, Josh takes the Tennessee job. I go with him, and it's like, all right, like now what are we going to do in terms of, you don't necessarily have better players than everybody else, which at UCF at that time, we had better skill than everybody else. We were really good up front. So we had to evolve again. Like, how do we win when you're playing the Georgias of the world, the Bamas of the world, where guys at least got the same talent, if not better? And so we evolved again and continued to change and change and change. And for those 2 years, as we evolved, we continued to be able to adapt, one, to our talent, but two, to the league and the speed of that league. And then obviously 2 years later, get an opportunity. And I had no intention of necessarily leaving, or I really was never chasing anything. And after that first year, had some opportunities to be a head coach. I hadn't thought about it, hadn't really put the time in, and I don't know that I was ready just mentally to move again, and I wasn't necessarily ready to. I just hadn't put a plan together to be ready. And after that second year, I took some time that summer and really put some thought into it and put a plan together, and sat down and looked at a bunch of options. We were fortunate. We were good on offense. We were good as a team, and had opportunities, and honestly picked this one for a lot of reasons, but I'm glad I did, looking back at it 3 years now.
So you come to USF, and obviously we've seen the success, and with success obviously comes, more attention, all that stuff, which is all good things. But you said when you got to Tennessee, when you got to Iowa State, you were always saying, how do we need to be different? When you got to USF, how did you need to be different? What did you need to change at that spot?
Well, I think similar to the Iowa State time, we walked in here, and I knew what we were walking into. In terms of, this was legitimately maybe the worst program in the country. They had won 4 games in 3 years, and 8 games in 5 years, and I could never wrap my mind around why. I really couldn't. But we at UCF, obviously, we had played these guys, and there was talent everywhere. That's the one thing, even going back to, and I've recruited down here my whole career, there's obviously between here and Georgia, you don't have to go very far. There's from skill to big skill guys to linemen, you don't have to go very far. So I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, man, you're in Tampa. It's an incredible school. This is an AAU school. There's 50,000 students. Like, what in the world is stopping you from being really, really successful here? And when I was coming out of college, this was the Jim Leavitt era here. These guys were rolling. That was the Big East days. Yeah. And these guys were rolling. They were beating everybody's asses and taking names. And then fast forward to, I walk in here 3 years ago, and it's not a great situation, but there was alignment from administration. There was a dire commitment to getting it right. And essentially there was this feeling of, I don't know if desperation is the word, but in some sense of like, man, like the way college football and the landscape is changing, like if we don't get this right, we're going to be left behind. And that was part of
urgency.
A crazy sense of urgency. You can't see it, but out here, we're built a brand new indoor. Our practice facility is incredible. We're building a brand new stadium, which we've shared Ray J with the Bucks for forever. In a year and a half, we'll be in our own stadium, and then we're right in front of it. We're building what I think is the nicest football complex in the entire country. And so you talk about like people right now aren't investing in facilities. These guys are. They're investing in our staff. They're investing in what modern day college football is in terms of how you fund the program. And they've gone all in the sense of letting us hire how we need to hire. From the support staff to the recruiting department to how we feed our kids. This is as big time gets. And you look at our staff, we don't have much turnover. Guys have stayed. Guys have helped us build. And we've recruited at a high clip, and we've retained at a high clip. And part of that is the culture we've built, but part of that also is simply because kids want to be here. This is an incredible place. It's a beautiful place to live. There's a reason why so many former NFL guys live here. And it's beyond the weather. Bad. The weather's incredible, but just everything from a real estate standpoint, financial standpoint, like this is an incredible place to be. And I think it just took the right people to tap into it, change the narrative of what this place is. And we've built it slowly but surely. But to answer your question, that was a long-winded answer. How are we different? I think in terms of offensively or defensively, I don't know that we are. I think we're different in this modern day college football. This is the one place that I thought, at least in that cycle 3 years ago, where you can recruit high school guys and you can develop high school guys. And if you do it the right way, all of your emphasis goes on retention. And now we've gone in the portal that first year. We had I don't know, we had 6 scholarship bowl linemen here. And I didn't necessarily try to run everybody off. I thought that couldn't be the model. I knew we needed some guys that actually cared about this place and liked this place. And some of our best players right now are guys that stayed, that hadn't played yet up until that point, but stayed. And I'm glad that was the approach. And we took some guys out of the portal. We had to, just to have some sort of proof of concept in year one. And then we focus so heavily on high school recruiting, and you look at what we've done in this conference, like we've recruited as good as anybody, and then we've gone into the portal, but our focus in the portal has truly been guys that are from Florida, from Georgia, guys that we've recruited, or somebody on our staff has recruited, guys that we've had relationships with, or potentially even guys we coached, and then bring them home. And that's the other thing about this place is right where we're located, like everybody recruits here, everybody. And kids will leave, and then kids will go to, not to throw places out there, but they'll go up north and they'll be like, holy smokes, it really is 20 degrees here in January. And you'll be like, you know what? You know where it's not 20 degrees? Right here, dog. Come on back. And that's the one unique thing about this job is that there are so many kids that leave. We wanted to be, I always joke, but I'm like, man, I wanted to be that 2 a.m. phone call of like, man, I'm ready to come home. And
your family might not like that, but yeah. Hey, so that's a real thing though, because I was getting recruited. I got recruited by Georgia Tech, Clemson, around here, like all around here, Florida and stuff. And I took my official to Ohio State, and I'll never forget. It's the first time I ever was on an airplane, and I was like, "Mom, what is that? What's all that white stuff?" And I got off the plane, and I'm like, "Absolutely not. Like, I'm not. No, this is cold." Like, and then God has a sense of humor because I got drafted by the Bengals. So that's an absolute real thing, Coach. I've got to ask you about your QB. Like he's a unit, man. Like the dude is an absolute. You watch him last week hurdling guys off of a cut, and I'm just like, that's not human. Like he's just obviously a great athlete, but tell me about Byram and just how he's developed. Because last year he got hurt, game 5, I think it was, and but now just taking off to a new level and hanging now with beating teams like Florida and just putting up points and just being a guy that's just extremely hard to stop.
Yeah. So B was one of those guys. He had redshirted the year before we got here. And, he started his last 2 games of his freshman year because guys got hurt. And the first time we sat in here and talked, he was like, Coach, I'm the quarterback here. And like, man, we had some older guys. We brought in a transfer. And I'm like, yeah, we'll figure that out as we go here. And, and that first spring, you knew like, man, this dude's different and physically different. I mean, he's whatever he is. At that point, he was like 6'3.5", 210. He's now like 6'4". He's 233. And you're talking about in a 2.5 year span, but that's how he works. That's how he trains. Man, he's become one of our best leaders. He's become one of our toughest workers, like on top of being just a tough football player. And, I think when your quarterback is also one of your hardest workers, is also one of your best leaders, and then happens to be one of the most physically tough dudes on the team, you talk about bringing an offense and a defense together. Those defensive guys respect the heck out of him because of the way he plays. And like you said, 2 years ago, so he was a redshirt freshman. He put up crazy numbers, and he'll be the first to tell you, like, man, like it was all happening so fast, and it was the perfect system for him because it allowed him to one, be the athlete that he is, but 2, allowed him to run some triple stuff where he can make quick decisions, be really, really accurate with the football. And he would tell you, man, I got so much to grow. And he was coming into last season with all these expectations nationally and on himself, and then gets hurt. And I think it slowed him down a little bit. I think like my wife tells me all the time, like, dude, is God telling you to slow down? Like, just relax for a second. And I think as hard as that was for him, it gave him time to, one, look at football from a different lens, from really a coaching lens in a lot of ways. But 2, I think, made him so much more grateful for just being able to play the game. I think so much at this level now, you're just day to day, and there's so many people pulling at you, and there's so many voices. And I think it gave him a second to be like, all right, like I got to figure this out on my own and go through the rehab. And when you get it taken away, and I know you've been through a lot in your career, like you can attest to this, like when you get it taken away, when you weren't ready for it to be taken away, it hits different. And I think for him, it gave him a new appreciation for the game. It gave him a new appreciation for his teammates. And he went into this offseason just on a mission to prove to himself, like, man, I'm not just the same player I was, I'm better. And physically, he certainly is. Mentally, and everybody kept asking all summer, man, like, how do you know Byram's ready? I'm like, man, like, this is the most confident dude walking in this building every single day that I've ever seen. And he's the first dude in, like, literally the first dude in. He's literally the last one out. If he ever pulls in here and my car's not sitting in that lot, I'll get a text like, sleeping in, bro.
Oh, I love that.
So that's happened maybe once, but like there'd be times I'll be
just to be clear, that doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen often, but if I'm leaving and his car's not there, like not bye week. That's where you're at right now. It's just a bye week for everybody, and but he takes it so personally. Like he's become such a strong, powerful voice here, and you know what? He's taken it in stride. He continues to play at a high level. And like we lost on Saturday at Memphis. You look at what he did. He gave us every opportunity to go win, and he was the first cat in here on Sunday, like ready to watch it, ready to learn, ready to grow, and just got such a cool demeanor about him. Again, I think when your toughest dude is your quarterback, he's not the only one, but when physically and mentally the toughest dudes on your team and it's the quarterback, I think it's easy to rally around. When you come off the field and you don't score, you punt it, whatever, and the defensive guys are sitting there like, B, we got you, dog. We got you. We're getting you that thing right back. And it's genuine and it's real. I think it's really powerful, and he's been that for us.
Well, the players know when it's not. You can't fool them. You know that.
There's no doubt.
It's got to be players led. Like at some point, it can't be the coach. What else? Because I got to get you out of here. What else do you love about your team, man? This team, as you continue to go on throughout the season, because you guys have had some high moments. You've had some adversity now. Like what do you love about this squad?
You know what? I think for us, and as much as the expectations that have been put on us by ourselves, these guys, like, it's been really, really powerful. And we talked at length this morning as a team of where we are. Like we're in November and we're playing meaningful football, David. When I tell you, and nobody cares about the past, but when we got here, we were trying to get guys to show up to workouts. Like just to tell you that we're in November and we're playing meaningful games. Like, heck, being in October, late in October, playing meaningful games. We've taken these giant steps as a program, and the reason we've taken them is because it has become player driven, and that's the only thing that we've harped on for since the day I got here is being process driven rather than result driven. And at some point in this program, it's gonna be player driven. And year one, it was as coach driven gets. Year two, about halfway through, it was like, we get it. We understand. And for the first time in our program, since I've been here, just about every position group now has guys to point to and say, man, like, be like him. Be like him. Where my first year and a half, I couldn't say that in every room. And now as we're recruiting these young guys, they've got examples of what it looks like. And I mean, you played at the highest level. That's the only way you can build a sustainable program. And to not be transient where guys are coming and going, but truly build guys and develop guys and allowing the older guys to help the young guys develop. Right now, where we are as a program it is player driven. It is process driven rather than result driven. And I think we're slowly but surely close to getting over that hump of consistently being able to compete for championships here. And I said it when I got here, like, we're in a race against ourselves to do it. I don't know how long it's going to take. I got no idea. And right now in college football, everybody wants you to do it right now. We've tried to do it as fast as we possibly can without taking any shortcuts, in the sense that when these guys graduate, there's going to be guys behind them that are ready to step in. Like, we're not going to have to go to the portal and go take 25 guys to fill these spots. We're building it the right way and hopefully setting it up for the long haul.
So, Coach, last question. I promise. I'll get you out of here. When when that happens and you have success, now your name starts to get thrown out there. And I'm not asking you about other jobs, but how do you handle that within a team? Because you know good and well those players hear it. So, like, how do you tell your team, like, how do you keep them focused with when they know that there's a possibility of other things in the future? Like, just that's got to be tough to navigate just personally and professionally with those youngsters.
Yeah. Would you believe me if I told you I really don't think it is? I've been so crazy transparent in every single aspect of our program. I've stood in front of our guys for almost 3 years now and just told them the truth. I think obviously that's the first principle of building trust is telling the truth. I think we talk so much about what love really means in a program, and love is just being able to tell somebody the truth, being able to accept the truth. I've always been really, really transparent with our guys, even guys that have walked in and said, "Man, coach, I'm thinking about leaving." It's like, "Cool, man. Like, what are you thinking?" Like, because maybe it's a better opportunity. Yeah. Like maybe it's a better situation. And for guys, there have been guys that have walked in, it's a better situation, and I've helped them. There's some guys where I'm like, "Man, like you're an idiot." Like, absolutely not. I'm not letting you jack this up. And the goal was to have relationships where those conversations can genuinely happen. So for our
so what have you said to them then? How do you say
nothing.
That?
Like Dave, I'm telling you, I've said nothing, because the only thing that we have talked about as a program is being right here, right now. Like, be where your feet are. I think in society, let alone football, like being present is like the hardest thing, because the second my attention goes somewhere, I stare at this. Like, just be present, man. Like, and I'm as present as anybody would ever be. Like, the thought of other jobs, other opportunities, like, haven't crossed my mind because I don't have time. Like, there's no time to think about.
Waste.
And I'm not smart enough to be able to think about another job while doing my job. And I think if you do this job correctly, between the players, the recruiting, the scheme, the getting ready for games, doing things like this, which are really important, like how the hell am I going to have enough time to think about another job? Like, there's not enough time in a day to think about this one. And so that's the truth. And so there's nothing that I think if you address something, there is something, but there hasn't been something. And again, you asked me a lot about how I got here. I never chased the job, like, ever. Like, every opportunity I've had has come my way. And I learned that a really, really long time ago. Like literally, be where your feet are. And if you do a good job, people come get you. And right now we're incredibly happy. We're in year 3 of building what I think is something really, really unique and special. And whatever opportunities come, they're coming because these dudes right here have bought into it, have bought into a process-driven, player-driven program. And so I'm glad people are talking about it, because that means we're doing something right. Because the alternative, David, this is that they ain't talking about you, which means you're really close to them talking about you again.
Yeah.
In a bad way. And so people are talking about us because we've done some really, really special things. We've got a lot of football left to do some more special things. And like that bridge, when it's time to cross it, I'll be transparent as all get out with these guys at the same time as I've been all along. And I don't know, I think when you sit there and you got to address something with your team, that means like somewhere along the line there was a lack of transparency. And I think where we are as a program, there's absolutely none of it.
Well, Coach, I think it's easy to see why you've been successful. So it's congratulations, just building relationships, being who you are. Dadgum, you've heard from all the coaches you've spent some time with. You spent a lot of time with great coaches and building your own identity. So congratulations on all the success, man, and continued success the rest of the season for you and USF.
I appreciate it, David. Honored to be on here with you, brother.
You the man. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.